football. Can we play football with a hand? Is it possible? And if we play with a hand, is it we call as a football game? No. So it has certain rules. It should be played with only foot and with a certain number of players, isn't it? So these are the set of the rules of game football, right? So to run a society, to run a state and to run a country, we need certain set of rules and principles. Those are written in one living document that is called as constitution. So a constitution includes a set of rules and principles that are all the persons residing in a country can agree upon. So in a large societies like India, we have different communities of people live together, and these rules are formulated through consensus and usually available in the written form. So this written form of rules and principles is known as constitution. Why do we need a constitution? Is a question. So why do we need? Is it important or not? The constitution states the certain ideals that form the foundation of the type of the country its citizens aspire to live in. Certain purposes are there. Why we need a constitution? First one is country's political system. So if we have constitution, it will tell us that which type of government we have to follow, whether it is a democratic type of government or monarchical type of government or diplomatic like that. So dictatorship or something like that. So we are following the democratic type of form of government, that is with the constitution, that is mentioned in the constitution. Second one is guards against the misuse of the power. So the constitution prescribes the rules that guard against this misuse of the power by the majority of people towards the minority of the people, that is more powerful groups can dominate the less powerful groups. So in order to safeguard and guard against these misuse of the power by the majority of the people. This is provided in the fundamental rights. So many provisions are made in the fundamental rights. We know that there are 6 fundamental rights: right to equality, right to freedom, right to education and cultural rights, right against exploitation, and cultural and right against exploitation, and right to constitutional remedies. These are the 6 fundamental rights we have, and all the provisions are made in the fundamental rights in order to protect ourselves. The constitution not only saves the country but also ourselves. Next one is prevents tyranny by the majority. That is, tyranny means domination by the political powers. So those who are majority in number, like minorities means Buddhist and Muslims or Christians, these are treated as minorities, minority of people. So majority, those who are having more in number in the population, they are called as majority. And the constitution prevents the tyranny. Tyranny means the domination or the way in unjust laws, using in unjust laws in an unjust manner, okay, towards the minority people. Next one is guidelines like to govern and decision making in the society. So constitution gives the guidelines to the country how to run a government in a proper and take the decisions in a right time at the right place. So constitution plays an important role in democratic forms of government as it lays out the guidelines that govern the decision making in these societies. Okay. Next, when it was formed, what is constitution we know, why it is needed we know. Then when it is formed, as we all know that after the national movement in 1946, the Indian country was partitioned into 2 states, 2 countries like Pakistan and India, and West Bengal and East Bengal. So these are the partitions, and some indecisive princely states have been left like that, and these have to be integrated and formed like a state, and there are so many problems faced by the independent India. So large number of people, over around 300 people set up in 1946 and met periodically to set the rules and principles for the next 3 years to write the constitution. So these set of 300 people can make an constituent assembly. The members of assembly met periodically and write the Indian constitution. Okay, so this after 3 years, that is in November 1949, this constitution was ready. It is completed with its rules, principles, etc. and all ideologies, etc. with the 300 people, because we have different communities, different languages, different cultures and different traditions. So we need to take all the opinions of the people and finally make one document called as Constitution. So finally in 1950, January 26th, our Indian Constitution came into force. Next, what are the challenges while preparing the Constitution? There were so many challenges because in front of independent India, we have so many problems like poverty, economic situation was bad, as well as there were very crucial roles were played by the representatives. What to do and what not to do is a big challenge in front of them. So there are certain key features of Indian Constitution which will tell us to solve the problems. What are to be done with the independent India? So key features of Indian Constitution. First one is federalism. What is federalism? When there is more than one level of government in a country is called as federalism. So we know that central government is the topmost in the hierarchical level, and next comes the state government, then next comes the local government, that is within the villages and all. Panchayat Raj is the third tier of the government. So these three levels of government, or the other two levels are dependent on the topmost level of government, is called as federalism. Okay. So in this federalism, each tier of the government can make laws on their own and can implement and exercise some powers on certain issues. There are some 3 lists are there which can be followed up in each state and overall central also, central government, as a matter of national concern. So the states which each tier of the government can get money for its work from the central government, then it can start its work, and there is an authority from the constitution also. And all the citizens of India are governed by the laws and policies made by each of these levels of the government. Okay, so this is called as federalism. Next one is parliamentary form of government. So we all know that what is a parliamentary form of government. So we have central government, state government and local government. So at the central level, the president will be there. Okay, followed by the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, Cabinet Ministers, and followed by the states, Council of Ministers. This is the hierarchical level of the government. So the different types of the government are run by the representatives who are elected by the people. So the people will elect directly the representatives by the guaranteed universal adult suffrage, that is universal adult franchise. That means every citizen who has attained 18 years of age and above is eligible to vote. That is called as right to vote. So this also on the basis of, this cannot be discouraged on any basis like on the basis of caste, class or gender. So everyone should be treated equally. Okay. And it implies the people of India directly elect their representatives, and these elected representatives in turn are responsible to, accountable to the people. Next is separation of powers. Separation of powers, as we all know, the central government is at the top level, but we have 3 organs of the government. One is like legislator, second one executive, and third one is judiciary. So legislator is of our elected representatives who can make laws. They are the people who can make laws, and the executive is a smaller group of people who can who are responsible for implementation and running the government, and the judiciary is referred to the system of courts in the country for preventing the misuse of power in any level, and it will be one of the branch of the state also, and it will ensure the balance of power between all these 3 organs. So this is called as separation of powers. One legislature will be making the laws, executives will be executing the and guarantees the rights of minorities against the majority. So these are all the fundamental rights. Let us see. First one is the right to equality. Next one, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies. So first one is right to equality. What is meant by right to equality? Giving equal rights, freedom to all, means access to any place. Okay, equality in moving in a country, or equality in education, no discrimination on grounds of caste, grade, class or gender or sex and literacy rates. Then right to freedom. So anybody can be freely moved in the country or within a state or anywhere. Next, right against exploitation. Those who are more powerful cannot exploit the less powerful people, cannot dominate the less powerful person. That is called as right against exploitation. Then right to freedom of religion means the person can accept any form of religion, that is Hinduism or Buddhism or Muslim, Islamic or Christianity, any form of religion they can freely accept it. And cultural and educational rights, every child has a right, who are under the age of 14 years can have the right to seek the education and participate in any cultural activity. And right to constitutional remedies. If any of the rights are violated, we can apply to the Supreme Court to change the laws. That is called as constitutional remedies, which are going to save us from any of the misuse of powers or any of the wrong laws or not improper use of laws. So next one is secularism. What is secularism? The state is not offering any official religion. Okay, so any citizen of India can choose any of the religion on their own wish. This is called as secularism, and our state is not following any particular religion, so our state is a secular state. The Indian Constitution emphasizes on secularism. All the religions are to be treated equally, and it plays a very important role in the harmony of our country. So Constitution plays a crucial role in laying out the deals which we would like all the citizens of the country to adhere to, including the representatives that we elect to rule us. So this is how the Constitution. Now let us see in detail what are the fundamental duties of our citizens. So fundamental duties are as follows, just listen. First one is to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions. The national flag and the national anthem is our first duty. Then second one is to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. So we have to follow those social leaders who has cherished our lives and inspired us from their national struggle for the freedom. Third one is to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. We have to protect it. Then to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. Fifth one, to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic and regional and sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of the woman. So it is related to completely the religious, linguistic, regional and sectional diversities. That means all over the India we have different communities, different sections, different languages, different religions. So we need to respect and we have to live in one particular dignity. And whoever woman is there, belong to any other different culture or different community, we need to respect and give some dignity to her. And to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. So we need to protect our culture and we have to value it. Then to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to develop the scientific temper, humanism and spirit of inquiry and reform. So there are other certain fundamental duties you will just learn. Okay, thank you.